I am going to try to keep this as short as possible. I need some of the tolerant people here to read about my situation. I am Asian American, Chinese to be more specific, female, 25 years old. If you have heard about those stereotypes about how strict and traditional Asian parents are, well, you can imagine my mother. She is the perfect example of it. I have had a few problems with my mother in the past. To put it simple, we think different, but she will always be my mom and I will always respect her. My father passed away some years ago, and since then, actually, our mother-daughter relationship was very good for like a year maybe. After that year was over, our old conflicts and the old arguments came back, but for the most part, our relationship was still good. Even though I was almost an adult, I have to be honest, and say that my mother became more controlling, like a helicopter parent. It is like we live in different worlds. She is more traditional. She lives stuck in the past, and I live here, in the present moment. Recently, I have had a few dates with an African-American man. Just in case someone I know in real life reads this right now or in the future, I will call him David here. I like him. We get along well. I am sure we will keep seeing each other. You may not see it as a problem, but I know that it is for my mother. See, my mom will only accept a Chinese guy as my boyfriend. It does not matter how successful he is. If he is not Chinese, she will hate him, and I am afraid she would hate me too. I am confused of what I should do. Right now, I do not want to tell my mom about him. Not yet. On the other hand, I feel like I am becoming too paranoid. Every time we go out, I get stressed and think, what happens if someone recognizes me and tells my mom? That would only make things worse, and at the same time, it is not fair to him. I am already out of college while David is 26 years old and just started trade school, so that is also something my mom would not like. I cannot imagine telling my mom I am dating a black man. I can see her completely losing her mind, and I do not know how much I can do to change her opinion. My dad had a clear vision of what my future should look like, and I am afraid my mother would use my dead father to persuade me to stop seeing David. I do not want to disappoint my mother, but I visit her several times a week. I talk with her every day. I do not want my mom to feel lonely. I am her only child after all, and we do not have too many family members in the country. But if I were to ask her for a little bit more of freedom, she would find it disrespectful. The bitterness between us would come back. So, I am afraid of what I should do now. I do not know if we should watch a TV show with interracial couples, just to see how bad she can react. I do not know. Update 1. 1 month ago, I told my mother about me and David. I kept thinking about it. Some of you told me to just do it because she was going to hate me anyway. You can imagine. She was not happy. I went to her place. I made sure she was sitting down, and a few moments later I confessed her I was dating David. My mom was dead silent at first, then she exploded. I never expected anything less. She asked me if I was joking. When I said no, well, to sum it all up, she basically said I am a traitor and I am bringing dishonor upon our family. I said before that I was afraid my mother would use my father and his death against me. Yes, that is exactly what she did. She repeated, "Think about your father and everything he did for you." Several times. Later that night, I cried a lot. I still feel really bad, but I also think that is exactly how my mom wants me to feel. Just like all of you who answered my first post, my friends tell me the same thing, that I should ignore my mother's wishes and focus on myself and my relationship, regardless of my mother's bigoted way of thinking. Yeah, I have thought about it, but even if I have the support of my friends, I cannot forget my mother. I really want her to be part of my life and to feel proud of me. I have visited my mother a few times, and she still calls me, but she treats me very coldly. I have asked her about her feelings and if she has changed her mind, but her answers are not positive. In the last 2 weeks, if I try to tell her about David, my mom just tells me that she is going to ignore my relationship as she hopes David and I will break up soon. She seems really sure of it. When I expressed my desire and the possibility of the 3 of us going out to dinner, my mother asked me if I wanted to shame her in public. Following the failed invitation, it seems, I gave my mom a new idea, because she now constantly harasses me with text messages saying things such as, "Don't post pictures of you with him on the internet," or, "Are you sure you want to be around people while you hold hands with a non-Chinese man?" Something like this happened too when I was around 12 and I befriended a normal white girl. She is very weary of basically everyone that does not have the same ethnic background as us. I have been really sad lately. It has been years, but I still cannot believe she has not changed a bit. She does not realize her behavior has been very detrimental to me and our relationship. David and I went out more. He was by my side at my best friend's birthday party. I can say we are an official couple now. However, until a few days ago, he did not know the fact that my mother does not want me to be his girlfriend. I kept it secret because I do not want to hurt his feelings, and the thing is, I am still with him even though my mom does not want us to be together. Isn't that enough evidence that I am choosing him over my own mother? Whatever, he got really upset with me. He gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. Our first fight. There is an elephant in the room now. He can't say why he is angry. Update 2. So almost 3 months have passed since the last post. After all of you who have given me words full of courage and useful advice, I wish I could bring you good news, but unfortunately is not the case. At least not for now. I remain hopeful. I really hope things will change for the better sooner than later. I think 7 weeks ago, my mother broke her own promise and stopped ignoring my relationship. Since then, she tells me, "OP, I love you. Can you please stop the pain and forget that man for good?" Something along those lines, once per week without fail. I did my best to put myself first. I love my work, so most of my time my energy is on it. I tried my best to set boundaries with my mother. We spent a whole day together, talking about my childhood, all the good and the bad of our entire lives. And at the end of the day, I told her I need to live my life, that I got a college degree and a nice job, I am a functional adult capable of making sound decisions, and that she could not be a helicopter mother anymore if she wanted me to be present in her life. My mom acted like she understood my feelings and was about to try to change some of her behaviors or bad attitudes toward the modern world. But no, it did not happen. I have to add something else. David and I went to more places together. Great. Everything seemed to be okay, but I realized we always go out with my friends. I have never met any of his friends or family members, and apparently he never intended to. When I mentioned this one day, he got very angry. Out of the blue, just one little question, I thought it was a harmless question. He screamed at me. I was scared. He brushed it off, saying I did not need to, and I can't say other word because he basically lectured me for asking something basic. After that incident, we have had a few more arguments. Unfortunately, David has anger issues. I am trying to be supportive, and I have stopped asking him to go as a couple and get lunch with some of his friends. He repeats the same line, I am not ready to talk about it. Going back to my mother, now she has taken refuge in social media. I was not aware of it until my best friend told me about it. My mom is sharing these quotes about the different sacrifices the parents make to give a good life to their children, how hard it is to raise good children, posts about how to be grateful, or how to be strong when children do not listen and do not do what the parents want them to do. I was shocked, and I am still shocked. All of those posts were indirectly directed at me. I feel offended. I cannot believe my mother is complaining on social media. She got comments from one of my aunts, some cousins, and old friends. She won, because when I read all of that, I felt ashamed, and I can see clearly now she is shameless, airing her dirty laundry in public. If my mom has a problem with my decisions in life, I do not understand why she has to involve family and acquaintances. At end of the day, I know I am not hurting anyone. If my mother is unwilling to accept new ideas, that is her problem. Maybe I am unlucky. I genuinely wanted my mother to get along with my boyfriend. Things being what they are, I would just implore her to leave us alone and to stop embarrassing herself on the internet. Although I think she is enjoying the attention she is getting. And I am well aware she will not leave us alone. These days she lives in order to criticize my relationship. I will not talk to her anymore unless she apologizes for everything and drops the drama for good. I can't deal with it. I am tired. Update 3. Hello. I am here again after a month. I am happy to report to all of you that my mother has been quiet about David and our relationship lately. She has not apologized. I am sure that is too much for her. I did not call her, and if she called me, I did not answer any of her calls. My phone was ringing 3 to 4 times every day. This went on for a week or so. She texted me too. Most of them were just about her day and asking about how I was doing. Fortunately, I did not get the usual accusations of me being a traitor or what I think is her favorite line, "You need to do better." I did what I said I was going to do. Not even one visit to my mom's house these last 4 weeks. Unfortunately, my mother, the drama queen, still shares her thoughts about me with the internet. These days, her posts are getting worse because she is now sharing private things that happened between us and some of the stuff I said and did when I was a teenager. At the end of one of them, she wrote, "I should have known back then. This was not right. I let it pass, and now it is time to pay the price of my lazy parenting." I do not think I will ever forgive all of these posts, not only sharing silly things I did in the past as a child, but also all her attempts to frame me as an horrible daughter. After 2 weeks without seeing each other, my mother came to my place one Saturday morning. We had a conversation. She did not scream at me, which was something good, but she was still angry and showed it. "You do not answer my calls. How dare you? You know I live alone. What are you going to do if something bad happens to me and I end up in the hospital? And because you are full of yourself and throwing a tantrum, you do not hear about me," she told me. At this point, I will accept her actions and do my best to move on. I am conscious I should not disclose my problems and private life with her anymore, seeing that she will write about it the next day on Facebook. I found out something else about my boyfriend's family. Turns out my mother and his family have a lot in common. David's parents do not want me to be his girlfriend either, and his friends do not like me either. Please, just for the record, remember I have never met any of his friends or family. How did I find out? We also had an argument, but at least he ended up telling me the truth afterwards. We were in a restaurant, and David and I bumped into two of his friends. They saw me and immediately said a very insensitive thing about my appearance. According to them, my boyfriend included, it was just a joke. Let me tell you, it was not the only joke about my appearance and our relationship they made. In those 10 minutes, the three of them were together, laughing. While I was standing there, I thought David was going to tell them to stop after the first or the second joke. But no, he did nothing. I remained silent. I felt extremely disrespected by his two friends, and I guess I also felt let down or betrayed by David. Later, we had a long conversation. Worst of all, he was angry with me for not laughing at his friends' jokes. He seriously thought there was nothing wrong with them and even told me I was overreacting. I could not believe my ears. My boyfriend completely dismissed my feelings. I will not write the jokes here. I do not want to repeat any of it. Actually, I wish I could erase it from my memory, but I am just going to say they were obscene and my ethnicity was involved. I am so embarrassed that even my best friend has not heard about this incident. Later on, I decided to press him on about his parents. He confessed his parents and siblings were not happy when he announced our relationship to them. Now I understand why he got angry every time I told him I wanted to meet his parents or friends. I have mixed feelings. David does not care about any of the comments made by his family and friends. He still talks with them as if nothing had happened. I was expecting him to feel at least a little bit uncomfortable, or that he would stand up and defend our relationship. And here I am. I barely talk with my mother now because I strongly believe she is being disrespectful toward my boyfriend. I am confused and I do not know what I should do. Update 4. It's been a couple of months since I wrote here. I think this is going to be my last chapter, and then I will move on. Where do I start? My mother was sharing my private life for the internet to see. We barely talked to each other, and if we did, we would treat each other coldly. My boyfriend did not bother to stand up for me when I was being disrespected. That incident made me feel worthless. I felt confused and angry. My mental health was not good at all. I could not talk with anybody. My friends or the people I thought were my friends said they were tired of my complaints. So, I had no one around me willing to listen. Things got worse with my mom. My uncle called me. Weird, I thought. I got scared for a second. Maybe some family member had died. Nobody died, fortunately, but that call almost killed me. He basically scolded me for being a bad daughter. He told me I am rebellious, and that I should treat my mother better. The call lasted around 20 minutes, and in those minutes, he tried to organize my life, telling me how I am supposed to live and even had the nerve to say that I was born to make my mother happy. He had seen all the social media posts written by my mother. His comments made my blood boil. I ended the call and went that same day to my mom's place. When I arrived at my mom's neighborhood, an old Chinese lady greets me. I know her. She is friends with my mother. This woman looks at me and tells me straight to my face, "You should be grateful. Your mother loves you so much. She is suffering because of you." The last thing she said to me is that I was disgusting. I tried my best to not scream at her. Nevertheless, I was very rude, but I wanted to be left alone. Then my uncle called, and after I encountered this old lady, a stranger to me, both of them already siding with my mother, both of them trying to fix my personal life, I got upset. Looking back, I am not proud of the things I said to this old lady. A few minutes later, my mother and I had a shouting match. She seriously thought that if she shared the details of my private life with people on the internet and people who knew I would have a change of heart, I would become the daughter she wanted. My mother till this day sees herself as a victim, of course. I am the perpetrator. The dirty daughter. The good things I have done are completely forgotten. According to my mother, David is as evil as the devil. Thanks for all of you who were rooting for me and David. Unfortunately, we are no longer together. You may say my mother won, but in reality, we barely talk to each other. After our last fight, I do not think she wants to see me for the time being. I decided to break up with him for other reasons. The fact he laughed about those comments made by his friends was one of them. I did explain why those words hurt me. "You are acting irrationally," he told me. I thought deeply about it. His family shared my mom's idea that the two of us were not a good couple. Maybe this relationship was destined to be a mess. For now, I think I am better alone. My well-being is my main focus. You can be sure as hell I have learned my lesson. If anything, I am keeping my life as private as I can. The most important thing, the best part, is that I got rid of the unhealthy relationship I had with my mother. I feel less anxious now. I got to give credit to David. If it was not for him, I would still be making excuses to not think about the controlling nature of my mom. She will always be my mother, but I need to be far away from her for at least 2 years.